Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and again another one where I am using some of my new release from Funky Fossil. So these are my Thankful collage papers. As you can see, I'm just selecting a page. Really, I should just have had a pad with this page in because it really is my favourite one. It makes a really nice background. It's got lots of my favourite colours in, and it's a great starting point here. So I'm just making it to the shape of the page that I'm going to create. And I will show some pages using the other collage papers as well, I promise. But and I have used some of the other ones in the little tag book that I created too. But quite clearly this is the one that I keep being drawn to. It's very odd that I hadn't realised that I'd used it quite so much until I've been editing these videos. Anyway, I'm cutting it to the same size as my page. I'm going to stick it in as a background, an instant background. So that's one of the great things about these collage papers is, you know, some of the hard work of creating a background is done for you. You can stick them straight in your book and then you can work onto them, and they give you a really good starting point. So I'm just brushing some matte medium onto my background. I'm going to stick this piece in, and once I've rolled it flat using a brayer just to get rid of any air bubbles, I then just paint a little bit more matte medium over the top just to help seal the paper. I was just wiping up, it had like leaked out a bit over the edges and I didn't want it to glue the pages together. So this is my new circle stencil, and I'm just adding some white paint through the stencil onto the background, and I'm using a kind of pouncing motion because I want quite an opaque layer of paint through the stencil, just to start to introduce a bit more pattern onto the background. And then I was like, maybe I want a thinner layer of paint, so I kind of smooshed it instead, and then went back to my original plan. So yeah, sometimes you just like being that little bit indecisive. It doesn't matter, you can just keep trying until you get the look that you're after. And then I've just flipped my page and I'm just using the bottom part of the stencil where the circles are a bit more spread out, just to add some more circles at the bottom of my page as well. And doing the same thing here, so adding quite an opaque layer of paint as well. So this is a great way to calm down a background when you might have popped one on like this in a situation where you've used a collage paper and you feel that it's too bright. Just to stencil on some white can just push that background away a little bit, and you can see how, although there's a lot of circles and pattern on that background, it isn't overpowering with any one colour showing through. Those circles that I've just stenciled on have just sort of pushed everything away a little bit, because actually what you see first when you look at it are the stencils. So then, because I bought some Lindy's Magicals recently, I'm just having a play with them every now and again. I'm grabbing them and thinking, okay, so what would happen if I just did a colour wash over the top of this page? So you don't have to have Lindy's Magicals to do this. You can just as easily do this with acrylic paint. You just need to water it down so it's really, really loose, plenty of water, and you can achieve the same effect. So then this is my paper butterflies stamp, and I'm just stamping it onto some collage tissue paper, and just to flip it over, I'm just rubbing the back of it just to make sure I get a really good impression of the stamp. I'm then going to cut that out, and that is going to be stuck over the top of my background using matte medium. So I'm going to cut as close as I can around the butterflies. I don't mind if there's a white border around, really, it doesn't bother me at all. This is a really quick way to get some images onto your page, particularly with a stamp like this, which is great for using as a whole like this, or cutting up and using the little individual butterflies on their own. There are also some individual butterflies on the paper doll stamp set too. So then I just decided that I would cut a butterfly off the top and bottom of the little collection, just so that I could stick one at the top and one at the bottom that were not connected to the other butterflies. I just felt it would kind of help to balance the page a little bit more. So that was my thinking for doing that. Then using the matte medium, just spreading it on quickly, because you can, if you're not careful, reactivate the Lindy's. But in a way that even that didn't matter, because even just brushing that light layer of nice turquoise blue over the top of the collage paper would have just helped melt them into the background even more. So I wasn't particularly worried about that at all. And then just sticking those down. Somebody asked me a while ago how I get rid of wrinkles in my collage paper. Well, I try not to worry too much about it, but if you do get wrinkles in your collage paper, if you just gently lift one of the corners up, once you've glued it the first time, before it's dry, lift one of the corners, pull it back, and then carefully brush it back down. Sometimes you can get it laid down without any wrinkles in it. But I think the answer to that question is just try not to worry about the wrinkles. So then I'm using my Lindy's Magicals again and just adding some pigment onto the butterfly, starting in the centre of the butterfly with this pretty pink, and then working out to the edge of the wings. And then I think I also go in with a purpley colour as well and just blend that out from the edge of the wings back into the pink that I've just added. Yeah, here we go. So just getting a little bit of colour on those butterflies and just popping them out from the background. So then next I'm using my dotty stamp and just adding some dots around the edge of my page. It's just helping to kind of soften those edges of the image as well. And I don't know, just love those dots. Using black archival ink. So then I'm going to use a piece of transparency as a tip in my journal. I wanted it to lay over the top of my butterflies, and I wanted to have a little play with my new stamp set, which is called Claire's Alphabet. So here I'm just using some lime paint. Well, I mean, like, you couldn't make that up. Did you see how that bottle fell exactly into the blob of paint I just put out on my glass mat? Honestly, sometimes I just take my breath away with things like that happen. It's just like, really? How on earth? Why did that just drop in there? Hey ho, but it did. So the only thing with doing this is you have got to be a little bit patient, because the paint takes a while to dry on the transparency. And if you're not careful and you use your heat tool and you concentrate it too much in one place, then you will cause your transparency to buckle. So you do need to be a little bit careful with that. And then I'm going in with Evergreen over the top and my bee leaf stencil from a previous release, just to create that little bit of interest. So I'm just pulled that colour through the centre of the transparency, so there's none at the top and none at the bottom. I'm using a bit of washi tape to stick it in place, and you can see on a little post-it note I've just found a quote that I want to use. So sometimes I go on Pinterest to find my quotes, and sometimes I just go on the internet and just type in the kind of thing I'm looking for. So I have popped a glove on. You will notice this is something I tend to do now when I'm using these individual alphabet stamp sets, because obviously you've got to take the letters on and off, and when you're using archival ink you can end up covered in archival ink, and I don't really like that. And also, as I have said, my eldest daughter is a nail technician and does my nails for me, and yeah, she tells me off. And like, although, you know, she's my child and I'm not scared of her at all, I just think I don't want to kind of it feels little bit disrespectful to kind of think, well, it doesn't matter, they're just nails. She spends a lot of time getting them looking lovely for me, so, you know, try and respect her by using a glove so that I am not getting ink all over my fingers and nails. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm using an acrylic block and just popping those letters onto there, and trying to squish them up as close as I can. When you put them like that, then you do end up with the letters a little bit spread out. If you stamped them one at a time, you could probably squish them up together even more. But this, I am so proud of this stamp set. I absolutely love it to bits. I think it's a lovely way to get that sort of handwritten look on your page. So there we go. That's the finished page with the transparency tip in with my new alphabet, and the page behind with some collage paper tinted with Lindy's Magicals with my paper butterfly stamp over the top of it. And then I've also attached some little tiny butterflies that were stamped onto some Shrinkies plastic, and just as a little extra thing on the journal page too. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found some inspiration, and I hope to see you again soon.